Whether you're a brand new seller on Etsy or you've been selling on Etsy for a couple of months, but you aren't getting the sales that you want, you've probably had quite a few questions around pricing your print-on-demand products. Because getting started with a print-on-demand business, there are so many new skills that you need to learn, and it can feel really daunting to make sure that you're pricing your items competitively, but also at a price that you can actually make a profit. And if you're feeling this way, you are absolutely not alone. I get questions like this on my channel every single day, like this one saying it seems like 80% of bestsellers are just priced so low. How to be profitable with ornaments, they're priced so high. Or like this, where they say, how do they sell at that price? What's even their profit when Printify, the shirt cost is a minimum of $7.99? So in this episode of Talk Shop Tuesday, I will be answering that exact question and walking you through step by step from the beginning how to price your print-on-demand products so that you are competitive, but that you will also make a profit at the end of the day. Because why would any of us start a business on Etsy if we didn't get to keep any of the profits for ourselves? So make sure to subscribe if you end up loving this video, and make sure to put your own questions down in the comments if you want a chance for your question to get answered on a future Talk Shop Tuesday video. For pricing your print-on-demand products, it is a simple 3-step process. Step number 1 is competitor research. Just like anything else that you do with your Etsy business, I recommend making that decision based off of the research that you do on Etsy. Etsy has all of the answers for you. You don't have to listen to me or any other YouTuber. The proof is right on Etsy for you. You just have to know what to look for. Step number 2 is figuring out your item cost. So for that, we'll be looking at Printify. Printify is who I use to print and ship all of my print-on-demand products. And if you don't know what print-on-demand is and you're here anyways, then print-on-demand is a process where you actually make the designs for the product and you upload them to a website like Printify, and you publish those to Etsy. But the beautiful thing is that the item never actually gets physically made until your customer orders it. So that's why it's called print-on-demand. So this saves you from having to purchase hundreds of items, store them in your house, print them yourself, and ship them. Printify actually will do all of those things for you. And you only pay for the item after your customer actually orders it. So it makes it such an easier business model to get started with than most other businesses. And I will put a link for Printify down in the description if you haven't signed up with them just yet, because again, that's what I'll be using in the examples for today's tutorial. And then step number 3 is going to be choosing your own pricing based off the research that we did. So let's dive right into that easy 3-step process together, but make sure you stay tuned all the way until the end of the video, because I'll also be sharing what's even more important in my opinion than your pricing. Step number 1, again, is competitor research. So coming over here to Etsy, we're going to be looking for 10 listings that are less than a year old that have sold hundreds of times for the same product you're trying to price right now. So make a list on a piece of paper, in Google Sheets, whatever works for you, 1 through 10. This is going to allow us to really effectively come to a research-based decision on how to price your newer listing as well. Again, for this first example, I'll be using Christmas ornaments, but you can use this exact same tactic for any product. Our first step is going to be sorting these search results. So if you're new to selling print-on-demand products, there's an All Filters button up here on the top left. So here's where we can filter the results to make sure they're only showing us physical items, not digital downloads. And then we also want to sort by best-selling items. So something with a bestseller badge is a badge that Etsy puts on a listing when it's selling a lot more than the listings around it, which tells us it's probably priced right, has a great design, etc. But they don't have a bestseller filter anymore. They took that away a few years ago, but there is a hack that you can still access it. So the button here is Star Seller, and then you'll click Show Results. And then up here in the URL, you're going to change this word star to the word best. And that, when you actually click enter, will change that star seller badge into the old bestseller badge. So now all of the listings that you're going to see on these pages are best selling products. Now, if you don't have a research tool that you've purchased for Etsy, then it's a lot harder to tell how old a listing actually is. So if you don't want to pay for a research tool, you're just going to go through and find 10 listings that have bestseller badges that are for the same product type that you're selling. So for example, I clicked this listing here when the Christmas ornament is $11.39. So for example, you'd write that down on your page. And then if you scroll down, you can see they're also charging $4.99 for shipping. So the total cost for this Christmas ornament is $16.38. But if you see here at the top, you'll notice that my page actually says that this listing's only 3 months old and has already sold 82 times and has a bestseller badge. And that's because I'm using a research tool called Everbee. The nice thing about Everbee is that it's built right into Etsy, so it gives you this data as you're already organically looking at Etsy listings. You can also click this Analyze Listing button and get more information on how well this listing has sold and even what tags they're using in their keywords to promote this product. Because if you can find listings that are 3 months old, 2 months old that have already sold hundreds of times, those are going to be great examples for your pricing research as well. So I will have a link for Everbee down in the description so you can sign up with a free trial or get a discount on a plan with them. The other really nice thing that you can use Everbee for is actually sorting the search results to only look for newer listings and newer stores. So here in the search results, I can actually come here to the left and click this product analytics button that Everbee has. And here you can actually sort the entire Everbee database, which is like 130 million listings, and actually sort it for specific info. So here you can see lots of ornaments that have sold 2,000 times, 10,000 times, 14,000 times in 15 months, 12 months, 27 months. But if we want to sort by newer listings, we can come up to this filter at the top. We can say only show me listings that are less than 3 months old and sort by the most sales. So here we can see this listing is only 2 months old and sold 1,300 times. Scrolling down, we can see this listing is 3 months old and has already sold 345 times. And so that's going to make it so much faster and easier to find your competitors, but also to help you find niches to design for when you're ready to make designs. So looking at this listing, this one is 3 months old and has already sold 345 times and even has sold 9 times in the last 24 hours. So this is a great example. This ornament is $10.51 without a gift box, which Printify doesn't offer. So that's the one we want to compare to. And for the shipping cost, we'll scroll down and see that is $4.49 for shipping. So $15 in total cost for this ornament. This next one is a really important one to talk about when it comes to why it looks like some items are priced so low. So it looks like this ornament is actually for sale for $6.40. It's only 2 months old. It's sold 124 times already and 15 times already today alone. So is it because they're priced so ridiculously low? Let's take a look. This is something that's called a loss leader pricing, because when you actually click on this style, you'll see the only thing that costs $6.40 is the PNG, which would be the digital download of this design, not the actual ornament itself. If you want to actually order a circle one-sided ornament, then that's going to cost you $10.40 plus $6.99 shipping, so $17.39 total. But Etsy only shows the lowest priced item in the listing in the search results as its price example. You might have seen this yourself a lot in the search results, which explains how sellers are allowed to sell their prices for so low. It's actually because most of their items are priced a lot higher than you think. Let's just look at 2 more examples. Let's take this ornament here, where if we actually select not the blank version of the ornament, it's $12.99 with $5.99 shipping, so a total of $18.98. And this ornament, if we select not the plain ornament, but actually the custom ornament, it's $15.99 plus $5.99 shipping. So a total of $21.98. Now that we've got our list of 10 listings for the same product we want to sell that have sold really well in the last year of what their item cost is and their shipping cost and total cost is, it's time to move on to step number 2, which is figuring out your total item cost when you sell the product. So coming over here to Printify is where we'll get our total item cost, and I'll show you exactly where to get that. So clicking catalog and then catalog home, I can type in ornament, and the ornament that I'm gonna sell is the one that's printed by Swift POD. So I'll actually filter by that and filter by the print provider, Swift POD, just to make it easier to find. Click on this one, and this is where we'll get our total item cost. So coming down here to the bottom, if I click provider info, it's going to tell us how much this ornament would cost you when you sell it. So here you'll see two prices. The first is the regular price of $4.83, and the second one is the Printify Premium price, which is almost $1 less at $3.81. Printify Premium is an optional subscription for $30 a month that saves you up to 20% off all of your product costs. So if you are selling just ornaments in your store, as soon as you're selling more than 30 ornaments in a month, this would be a good deal for you and break even, and then anything after that, you'd actually save money. So up to you on if you want to start paying for Printify Premium right from the beginning, or if you want to start paying for it after you're getting enough sales to make it worth it. Depending on the product you're selling, like sweatshirts, you can save almost $5 a sweatshirt with Printify Premium. And so then you really only need like 10 sales a month for that to be really, really worth it for you. But either way, I do recommend pricing your products as if you do have Printify Premium, so that way you can keep your pricing the same as soon as you sign up for that subscription. The next thing you need for your total item cost is the shipping cost. So up here you can click the shipping button, and here you'll see either a standard shipping or an economy shipping. Now I always like to use the standard shipping because economy shipping can take 4 to 8 days to get delivered, and I just think that is too long for what Etsy sellers typically expect. So I'll go with the $5.69. You can always go with the economy shipping if you want to. Just make sure that when you set up your shipping profile on Etsy, that it reflects how long it's actually going to take to ship. So if we use the $381 for the ornament cost and the $569 for the shipping cost, that brings our total cost for the ornament to $9.50. So now that we've got our total item cost, before we move into step number 3, I just want to make sure that anyone that's new to print on demand knows how the payments are actually going to work, because you are the middleman when it comes to the pricing. So the customer doesn't pay Printify, you do. So the way that the process works is when your customer buys the item on Etsy, Etsy takes out their Etsy fees and then sends you the difference. And then with that, you need to actually pay Printify the cost for the item. But when you're brand new to selling on Etsy, Etsy doesn't pay you every day. They actually have something called payment reserves that keeps part of the money until the item ships, which means that you need to actually make the payment to Printify before you get the money from Etsy. So I would recommend having $100, $200 saved up for this so that you can prepay for those items before they get shipped out from Printify. And if you're enjoying this video so far, then put the name of your dog down in the comments below. And that leads us to step number 3, which is setting your pricing. So you can use any Etsy profit calculator to figure out your costs now that you have your competitor research and your total item cost. In today's tutorial though, I'll be showing you my personal Google Sheets document that I use for my business, and I actually sell. If you're interested, it's $20 in the description below. What it is an Etsy profit calculator where you can enter in what your total selling price is, what your cost is, and it'll tell you how much profit you'd actually get to keep after all the Etsy fees. But not just that, it also has a pricing calculator, so you can go through the list and price for multiple different products and compare side by side how much profit you'd make if you try different pricing options or if you sell multiple products. And it also has a monthly income and expense built in as well, where every time you spend any money on your print-on-demand business, you can enter that expense here on this page. And on the first of every month, you can go back, show how much you had in sales, how much you spent, and know exactly in real time how much profit you're actually making in your business. Now, some people will go months of selling on Etsy and not know that they're actually losing money. So I don't want that to happen to you. So whether you purchase this or not, please be doing your income and expense report on the first of every month so that you know how much money you're actually getting to keep from your business. So coming back to the Etsy profit calculator, let's look at our ornament example for today. So for the selling price, you want to enter the total with shipping and after the sales price. So that's what we got from those Etsy listings. So for example, one of those ones was $17.39. And then our cost is our item cost plus the shipping cost. And so that was $9.50. So if we sell our ornaments at the same $17.39, we would actually make $5.79 profit after all of the Etsy fees each sale. Now this would be before running any ads. So I do recommend at least pricing for about a 30% to 40% profit. That way if you run ads in your store or if you make other purchases for your business, then you can actually still make a profit. Now let's look at the lower and the higher end of the items that we found on Etsy as well. The lowest one we found was $15. If we priced for that exact same price, we would still be making $3.63 every sale. Now this is a popular pricing tactic that when you first list your item for sale, you price it a little lower than maybe you want to. And then after you get your first 20, 30, 40 sales, you actually slowly raise the price up by $1 here and there, and then get up to that price where you're making more of a profit. But that can help you get ranked on Etsy, because the more sales you get, the more reviews you get, the more Etsy is going to show you to other customers. Now, I don't necessarily recommend losing money on your Etsy listing, but something like this where you're only making $3.63, I think you could start here and then raise your prices later if you wanted to. And then going all the way up to the higher end of what we found was $21.98. So if you sold yours at that price, it would actually be a 45% profit margin, which you'd make $9.94 per sale. Coming back to Etsy at that listing that was priced that way, this listing is sold 1,591 times in 12 months. Which means that if they made the same profit that you would off of this, that'd be $15,814 profit that you would have made in the last 12 months off of one listing. So since Etsy pays you and then you pay Printify, it's up to you, once you've chosen your final total cost, how you want to split that between the product cost and the shipping cost, because you don't have to sell it for the same shipping cost that Printify is charging you. So I like to think of it as a total item cost instead of separate charges, because you could technically say sell your ornament for $17.39 with free shipping, or you could sell it for $12.39 with $5 shipping. It's all the same at the end of the day. It does seem like all of these ornaments did charge for shipping, so it does seem like that for this product is probably the right move, since almost every brand new listing I looked at for ornaments did charge for shipping, at least anywhere from $3.99, but usually $5.99. Now for our second example, we'll just quickly show sweatshirts, since this one has a couple different prices for the different sizes and colors. So I found this listing here that shows that it sold 108 times in 2 months, which is a great listing to look at. It's brand new, it's selling really well, it's a bestseller, and it shows that this sweatshirt is $19.79. But just like the ornaments, a lot of people are using that lower price for one item, which for clothing, if we click on the colors, usually it's for one color. So you can actually see that the only option that is the $19.79 is the color white, in just the size small. So if we compare and we look at any of the other colors like ash, and we look at size large is the one that I like to price it, because small, medium, large, and extra large are typically the same cost to you, then that's actually $29.54 for the sweatshirt, and then scrolling down, $5.99 for the shipping. So your total price that they're selling that sweatshirt for was $35.53. Now, most people are selling the Gildan 18,000 sweatshirt. So for step 2, looking at what your product cost is, you might also want to choose the Gildan 18,000 sweatshirt. And if we scroll down here and we want to use Printify Choice to print this for us, we can click the details button again. But here you're going to see a couple different prices for the product variants, because different sizes and colors might cost different amounts. So I want you to find the one that costs the most that you're going to be using. In this particular case, all of them have the same low price for the beginning cost. So looking at size extra large again, the cost for this sweatshirt with Printify Premium again is $12.89. Now here's exactly what I was talking about earlier. If you don't have Printify Choice, it's $17.97, so a $5 savings. And then our shipping cost is $8.49. So back over onto our income and expense report here. If we sold the sweatshirt for $35.53 and our cost with Printify Premium is $21.38, then you'd actually make $10.32 profit per item, which just gets us right around to that 30% profit margin mark that we're hoping for. And I said at the end of the video, I'd share what I think is actually more important for getting sales on Etsy than the pricing of your product. And the answer to that is actually almost everything. You can have the perfect pricing on your item, but if you aren't doing the other things right in your listings, then you aren't going to get any sales. And so if you're sitting there watching this and you're not getting the sales that you want, I can promise you it's probably not your pricing. If you go through what I showed you today, and I hope this was super helpful in at least understanding that and taking the first few steps to getting your items priced correctly on Etsy so they are competitive. But if you aren't doing the other things right in the listings, then you're still not going to get sales, even if it's the perfect price and you priced it to where you'd lose money. The things you need to be doing for your Etsy business is, number one, making sure that the product you're selling is something that Etsy customers are shopping for on Etsy and purchasing today. If you're just listing products that you like or you think are interesting, but no one's looking for them, then no one's ever going to see them. The second most important thing you need to be doing is adding value to your designs. The biggest mistake I see new sellers making is they look at a bestseller on Etsy. They say, okay, this ornament is so cute, I'll change it a little bit and I'll list my own version. If you just make a cheap knockoff of what the bestseller has, why would they buy yours instead of the bestsellers? You need to be doing your own research, looking at what's trending, at what's selling on Etsy in general, and combining things in new and unique ways to make a design that looks 100% different. If I was making a design for a baby's first Christmas ornament, I wouldn't be trying to make something that looked even 1% like what the bestsellers look like. I'm going to be looking for inspiration in other products, in other niches, and seeing how I can add value to that niche. And if you're not sure how to tell what's actually trending or selling right now on Etsy, then I will put a link to my monthly trend reports down in the description, where every month I share with you the trending design styles, the trending niches, and what you should be listing for in advance so that you can save hours of research every single month and be listing for products that add value and are in niches that are in demand right now. If you don't join my monthly trend report, then I recommend just starting to get in the habit of doing 20 minutes of research on Etsy every day. Get obsessed and just be constantly looking for 20 minutes every day at bestsellers on Etsy. Start getting really good at pattern recognition. Like, oh, you know what? I'm noticing that these colors are selling really well, that these fonts are selling really well, these types of graphics are selling really well. I'm going to combine the three and make my own new design that's based on research of what's selling on Etsy, but it isn't for sale in this niche just yet, and that's where a lot of the magic really happens. So I hope this video was super duper helpful. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos that I have coming out to help you succeed this holiday season and beyond on Etsy, and I'll see you in the next one.